All month long, we'll be discussing and celebrating Black History Month on Daytime Tri-Cities. And today, I want to welcome the Vice Mayor of the town of Jonesborough, Adam Dickson, to Daytime. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Good to see you too. Let's go back to the beginning and let's discuss the origins of Black History Month, if you will.
Well, so Black History Month's going to originate in 1926 by a scholar, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And I think it's important, Chris, to think about this with a little bit of context. So, you know, the early 20th century was a very difficult time for African Americans in the country. You had what was called eugenics commissions in the early 20th century. So essentially, there were these beliefs that black people were in some cases ignorant, in some cases animalistic in nature and behavior, in some cases black people were a public health threat. And so there was just a very difficult time at that particular point in the early 20th century. And so you had actually eugenics commissions that were set up in certain areas of the South that actually, and I'm just kind of cutting to the chase, actually sterilized women and men in the name of promoting public health. You had a movie in the early 1900s called Birth of a Nation, which had very overtly racist themes. In the early 1920s, you had the Ku Klux Klan marching in Washington, D.C. So it was very important to have an event which initially began as Negro History Week. 1976, it became Black History Month. It was very important to have a time where you could reflect the character of black people and also present a positive self-image. And so Dr. Carter G. Woodson was very much in favor of trying to have a time that would showcase the positives of the black community, that black people were actually part of America, had actually contributed to America, and black people did not align with these negative and ugly stereotypes that had been presented to the country.
Using that word important quite a bit there, it is important to remember Black History Month every year.
It is very important to remember Black History Month. People need a positive self-image. And so when you look in a 21st century context, you know, there's different impressions as to what is beautiful, as to what is attractive. And when you put race on top of that, that is a very toxic mixture. It's very important that people understand that they can be the best and the brightest. And that really falls in line with what I think the American dream is. So positive self-image is very important. And I have a lot of people, Chris, that come to me and say, well, when are we ever going to get over Black history and talk about American history? And I think that's a legitimate question. My response is that when we're able to understand and appreciate and recognize the contributions, in this case of black people, African Americans, in the larger American historical narrative, then we can transition to understanding American history. I mean, if you think about, the Revolutionary War and the Boston Massacre, you know, the first person that lost their life was a black person, Crispus Attucks. When you think about the Buffalo Soldiers, who played a role in taming the West. My great uncle in Jonesborough was a Buffalo Soldier, Alfred Ray, and actually, as they were climbing San Juan Hill, a white gentleman was carrying the flag. He was shot, and of course, flag protocol. The flag never touches the ground. Alfred Ray ran, grabbed the flag, and continued climbing San Juan Hill, and so and was recognized by the United States government. When we continue to appreciate and recognize the contributions of black people, get beyond these negative images and stereotypes, then we can then transition to saying that all of black history is American history.
Real quickly, there's some other facts, because you gave some amazing stories there. I love that. Talk to us about some other facts concerning Black History Month.
Well, for me, when we talk about black history, I like to talk about black political participation. I think it's really important in an area like Northeast Tennessee, where we talk about a 2% black population. Most of the counties in the area have elected black people to various offices, and I know we don't have time to go down that list, but if you do a basic Google search, Chris, of the first black mayor elected in Tennessee, the Google search is going to come up 1991 W.W. Harrington in Memphis. But it's important that people here in the area know that in 1985 in Bluff City, Tennessee, Bill Wales was elected the first black mayor of Bluff City. and served with distinction. And now currently his wife, Irene, is the mayor of Bluff City. And that's something I think, that's just one fact that we should be proud of here in the region, that even with a small African American population, people are able to get beyond the outward and able to look at personality, character, and so Kingsport, Richard Watterson, longtime vice mayor, and even in my hometown of Jonesborough, the same night Dr. King was assassinated, Ernest McKinney was elected alderman, and then his son Kevin was the first black mayor of Jonesborough. And then of course here in Johnson City, Hezekiah Hinkle back in 1870. I think in the 1870s, was elected to the Johnson City Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Dr. C.H. Charlton then carried the torch in the early 2000s. So it's a positive history. Still have a long way to go, but it's still a very positive history to think about where we were and where we've come.
All right, Adam Dickson, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris, always. Good to see you.
I enjoyed that discussion so much.
Well, thank you, sir.
I really did.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you so much,
Good to see you.
All right, we'll have more with Daytime Tri-Cities coming up in just a few moments.